Alrighty, folks.
So now we'd like to ask.
We want to bring this on to you guys to ask away.
Questions. So please don't be shy.
Does anybody have a question? Okay, yes, Rachel.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and I'm so excited to be here. And I have a question for both of you. So you also mentioned environment and how can I maintain my happiness when what is negative or draining is family?
Meaning, can you explain that a little bit more?
Well, the family that you came from and the family you've created. Sorry, I know your husband's sitting next to you.
if it's well, technically both. Not my husband, he's amazing. No, but like the way you grow up, and then also in-laws, like family that bringing a lot of moods and criticism, and where you feel you have a happy baseline, but then it's like it's hurting. It's like negativity. It's mood, energy. I don't even know how to really put it in words. It's like from the environment, but you care about them. So it's not, like with people I don't want to be around when they bring me down. That's a different part, but it's also family and you care about them.
Well, I think that you can, you don't want to divorce your family and remove people. I don't believe in that. I think, you don't want to never speak to your mother, your father again, whatever. But I think that we can change our relationships. And I think it's up to us to keep creating and elevating every relationship. So I think far too often people expect or accept that how the relationship was or how it's always been is how it should be forever or will be, and that you can actually affect change there. But I think it's up to us to really challenge that thought and say, okay, well, and I give this example a lot because I think that relationships, especially a parent to a child, it's the biggest example of a relationship that changes constantly over time. When a child comes into the world, they rely solely on a parent for their survival, to be fed, to be put to sleep. And, and eventually that changes and it keeps changing over time. So I think that it starts with really being honest with yourself about what you want and what makes you happy and what doesn't, what you're willing to accept and what not. And then you express that. And if the person loves you enough and the person wants to be in your life, they'll hear that, and then you can. And sometimes it's about maybe making a little space in order to affect the change. But I don't believe in staying in an environment that doesn't feed you, that isn't healthy, that brings you down and then affects all of the other relationships that are important to you. Because then again, you will find yourself in a space where you feel stuck and unhappy, and you're like, okay, well, what are my options? You have so many options. But it starts with really saying, okay, this is not something that I want to participate in. How can we change, elevate, evolve this?
And before I answer the question, I'd like to share a joke, one of my more favorite jokes. This guy is sitting with his friend, and he's really has a long face, and his friend asks him, what's the problem? He says, every time I bring a girl home to my father, my parents, my mother hates them. So what can I do? So the guy says, I have an amazing idea. Find a girl or a woman who is exactly like your mother. She speaks like her, she thinks like her, she looks a little bit like her. I'm sure it's going to work out. A few weeks go by and they meet again. And again, the guy is unhappy. They're having dinner, the two friends. And the friend said, what's going on? He says, why are you still unhappy? Did you use my advice? Did you take my advice? He said, yeah. He says, yes. And so I found somebody who looks like my mother, sounds like my mother, thinks like my mother. I brought her home. And your mother didn't like her? My mother loved her. But my dad hated her. So, okay. That being said, we are all going to have in our lives, if it's in-laws, if it's other people who we actually want in our lives, but they are in ways critical in things that they say. One of the things that Monica and I often do this is, how about, this is just one way, start finding it entertaining. So every time a person goes home to their mother-in-law, the mother-in-law has something negative to say about the way they're parenting their kids, for example. Rather than, oh my God, how could she do this to me again? This is so upsetting. No, stop and say, no. Actually, I'm gonna, again, I won't laugh in her face, but I'm gonna find it funny, and I'm gonna share it with my spouse, and together we're gonna laugh about it. I think we all have ways, and it's a lot of what we spoke about today, to change the way we interact with people. Even people, again, again, there's certain people we say, no, they're so negative every time we see them, we're not going to have them in our lives. But there's certain people who need to be in our lives. They could be in-laws, they could be other relationships or friends that we don't want to get rid of, but there's something they do consistently that's really upsetting, that's disappointing. Find it funny. Interact with your friend or your spouse and find it funny together. Find it surprising. Find it interesting. Isn't it interesting that somebody who's 75 years old still worries about whether I put money in the parking meter, whatever those things are. And I'm telling you, we've had experiences with this. You will see that it certainly starts bothering you less and less. Ultimately, it actually will give you joy if you do it in the right way.
Yeah, decide what you want to see, right?
And how you want to experience it.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Sarah. Good evening. My question is about teenagers. At our home, we have preteen, one teenager, one preteen in our home. And how can we help them increase their baseline of happiness? Does it apply? Is it the same, rules as for adults? I mean, obviously, there's a different way of helping them on that journey. And I just wanted to hear, what you thought on that one.
Well, what's going on in their lives? Do you notice things that make them unhappy or that moods change and shift?
There's relationships at school, rejections, not invited to things, all that kind of stuff that happens when you're a teenager. Stepmom not being, being annoying, or whatever it happens to be, that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's a great opportunity to help them focus on what's important. And instead of focusing on external, which is human nature, right? Who wants to be rejected, who doesn't want to be invited to a party.
Right.
To really pause and say, okay, in the big scheme of life, right? If you live your life this way, where you're only happy if this happens, then what does the rest of your life look like? I think it's to try to give them perspective to the bigger picture of what's really important and where they should place value on. And it's so important to do that at a young age, because when you practice that early on, then later in life, again, your baseline, first of all, for happiness and for a quality experience of life is going to be higher, but also you start to live a life that's based in more purposeful, real things. So I think the earlier you can introduce that to teenagers, the better.
Right.
Yeah, I would only add, first of all, my baseline of happiness tonight is very high because one of our teenagers is here with us. I hope you enjoyed the podcast tonight.
Would you like to join us?
And I think the reason this is so important is because this baseline that we've been speaking about tonight, a lot of it gets formed in the home, because those formative years really create the baseline for happiness. And what you don't want to do, and this sometimes we try to do, and it's maybe a parental instinct, that when they're going through challenges, how do I make it better, right? Because if I make it better, then they'll be happy again. The most important thing is to realize that there are always going to be things in life that can cause unhappiness. The question isn't how do you take away that situation, but how do you find a way to be happy in those challenges? And I think, again, and we've seen this too often with parents, where they want to make everything good okay for their kids, with their kids. That's not life. And that also doesn't create the proper baseline for life. Whereas we say, oh, I'm happy you're going through this challenge, or this is a part of life, but how can your experience of it be different? And those conversations and those really, the parenting, not to remove challenges or difficulties, but helping get to a place where they go through challenges, because they will have challenges from this moment on for the rest of their lives. But how do you go through them and either enjoy them or at least not allow them to steal away from your happiness is so important, maybe amongst our most important responsibilities as parents.
I think it's so powerful what you said, because when a child's going through something like rejection and they're feeling badly about something and the parent reacts like, my God, that's terrible. I remember the time I was rejected too, and they commiserate together, right? What are you teaching the child? And I see that a lot in homes where the parent's upset and everything's a big deal, and they take the child's worries at like, yes, it's not serving them, and it's also projecting onto them what your experience was and maybe things you haven't gotten over. So I think it's so important to really, yes, if it's a big deal, we'll talk about it, we'll address it. But unless it's like, death or something, it's not the biggest deal, and it's there as an opportunity. So right. I love the questions. I think it's really, really important to help teenagers, but they're going to see it through example. I mean, how do you respond to those things?
That's very important, right? So we take it maybe as a given, which is not, that what they're seeing at home from their parents or from their environment is the fact that you can go through challenges and be happy about it, or that you can go through difficulties and be happy about it. If that's not what they're experiencing watching their parents or their home environment, the words that we say will mean nothing. So I think as parents, maybe one of the first questions is, how am I going through life? And then, okay, I cannot. Most importantly, I am an example to my children. And then, yes, we can talk about it. But if the parent on themselves is not going through the life in this way, is not able to both take in challenges and find a way to be happy, surprised, all those words that we spoke about, those tools we spoke about before, then almost any words we say to our children will be meaningless.
So my name is Yael. And I came here with a question, and thanks to you, I got a glimpse of the answer, but I still would like to ask the question and have a better understanding. So that's my question. I'm in business. It seems like I've done everything that I need to do in order to have a right consciousness using kabbalistic tool, and still struggling financially. So how can we have a set happiness and certainty when this is happening?
Well, where else do you find happiness outside of your business?
With my kids and family when we go to places, sometimes when we do, but mostly it is in business. My usually happiness is in business because it's something creative I'm doing that my dream from the childhood.
What I would say is, again, I think this is maybe what you're referring to, is the understanding, and I think it's so important that we remind ourselves of this. You know, it's almost cliche, right? But it's the fact that, you know, a person who goes to the doctor and the doctor says, oh, we see something, we have to check this out. That whole week, the person's worried. But then he or she gets the phone call from the doctor, you know. As a matter of fact, I'll share a story, and I hope they don't mind, I won't use names, but a story that actually happened a few weeks ago. We were at a wedding in Mexico, and one of our students texted me, I'd like to talk to you about something. I called them, and we were actually going to the wedding, so I couldn't call them right then. A few hours later, we connected when we landed in New York, and he told me a funny story, in retrospect, that they had gone to the doctor, and the doctor called them. You know, nobody wants to get this call. You know, they had done tests. Please come to the office. They come to and then a few hours later, they call back the doctor, and the doctor says, you know, your last name is similar to the last name of another patient. Your test was fine. You know, so obviously it was a mistake. In that second, of course, they were filled with joy. And literally, of course, in that second, there is nothing in the world that can make them upset. No problems at work, no problems at all. What does that mean? That's not just a cliche, a story that something maybe we've experienced or we hear others experience. It's meant to enable us to understand what we're capable of. In this moment, for you, and in every moment forever, you have the ability to be the happiest person in the world. That's a fact. Because if we appreciated our health, we're not getting those calls from the doctor, for example, then there's nothing, right? If we imagine, what if we didn't have these other 5 areas of life that I'm happy to have? And then I got them. Or more importantly, and now I appreciated them. Every single one of us, regardless of what challenges we're experiencing in one area or other areas of our lives, has the ability to be the happiest person in the world. Our problem, all of us to some degree or another, is that we're not extracting as much, either through appreciation, surprise, savoring those tools we spoke about before. We're not experiencing or extracting from what we currently have all the possibilities of joy. And this, again, the beautiful thing about this is not just spiritual wisdom. Science tells us this. You probably think that if your business was going as you would want it to go, oh, then my baseline of happiness would be where I want it to be. Science tells us that's not the case. Science tells us that where you are today, you can be the happiest person in the world. And let's find the tools, let's consistently use the tools to be able to extract the most happiness and fulfillment from what I have. And by the way, if and when you do that consistently, other areas will work out well as well. But that's not even the point. The point is every single one of us, regardless of what challenges we're having in business, can be the happiest person in the world right now with what we have if we use the tools to extract the joy that is already there.
Reminds me of a story we saw in the news years ago of there was a tornado and this woman was interviewed and she was crying and she was so happy, and she said that she lost her home and she lost all of her belongings and she didn't have anything, but she had her children still, and she thought that they had perished. She couldn't find them for a while, and then when she found them, she realized that she was the most grateful, happy, lucky person in the world because she had found her child that she thought she had lost, but she didn't have any other worldly possession at all.
Yeah.
And I think that you were saying that you love your work and it's your creativity and it's what you wanted from your childhood, but you still have that, whether it's recognized by millions or you change the life of one. So I think it's about shifting what you've assigned meaning and purpose to. Is it just an outcome, or is it the experience of it, the ability to do that? Because that's not going to change. That's there, that's real.
Yeah, we'll do maybe one question.
One more. Yeah.
One more.
Hello, my name is Hedy. I'm so excited to be here tonight. My question is this. You talked about savoring every moment in our daily routine, but I find myself being unfulfilled because I am a woman in my 30s. I'm a professional. I built a nice life and career for myself, but I'm feeling that time is running out. I feel like I don't have that time anymore to infuse into dating or meeting people or going out because I'm busy with what I've built. How can I savor, or how can I find everyday happiness when I'm feeling this anxiety about time? I feel anxious every day, and I have this fear of maybe ending up alone.
Well, I think that even negative emotions are important. There is a healthy space for that. We're not meant to be happy all the time, no matter what. If you're feeling anxious or you're feeling worried or you're feeling a sense of urgency for something else other than how you're spending your time, I think it's actually something to pay attention to. So it doesn't mean that you have to stop growing your business or stop doing what you love, but maybe now a lot more of your attention needs to go into a different area of your life. So that any negative feeling you're feeling is actually there for a reason to help you stop and say, okay, what do I need to change about my routine? What do I need to do different? What do I need to pay attention to that I'm not because I'm feeling unfulfilled or I'm feeling something that's different? It's actually a wake-up call to maybe start putting energy elsewhere. So it's not a bad thing if you pay attention to it and then you take action steps to change it. And again, it doesn't mean you have to abandon anything that you've created or the things that bring you joy today. But if it's not as fulfilling as it used to be, it means that there's a shift that needs to happen where you're putting energy and effort into other areas of your life.
Yeah, I would add, because that's a very important understanding. Although we spoke most of this evening about how to have more happiness and how to raise our baseline, it's important to understand that, yes, sometimes our sense of sadness or anxiety is coming not from a place that we are meant to change, but sometimes, as Monica said, it's coming from the right place. And it's only the individual, only you can ascertain whether it is, but it sounds like it's something to listen to. And often fear or anxiety or a state of unhappiness is the Creator telling us something needs to change. And I would, again, and we can really try to assess, is the unhappiness I'm feeling is because I'm not using the tools enough to savor and extract as much happiness and fulfillment from what I already have? Or is this unhappiness, this anxiety, a wake-up call to actually make a dramatic change? Maybe, yes, invest more time in another area, in a relationship, for example. So I think it's important not to forget that, not to think, oh, I need to make all anxiety go away with using the tools that I can make what I have now more fulfilling for me. Sometimes that anxiety or that unhappiness is a very important emotion that is meant to wake us up and make us change and maybe invest in new areas of our lives.
And I would say in this case, I think it is.
Thank you.
Well, thank you all for
As usual, I say we hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast as much as we enjoyed recording it.
And stay spiritually hungry. Bye.